Welcome to the show. Are you whistling? Were you whistling with us? It puts a smile on your face. And actually, scientifically, when we smile, when we whistle, this creates endorphins in our brains, and it actually changes our mood. So if we're feeling down or depressed today, maybe the weather's not, just start whistling, get a whistling song on. Now, we have a real big treat for you at the end of the show. We have a song. It's a competitive song. Then we just did Run to Jehovah, that song, that new JW song that they came up with. We just did that the other day. And I think on our last live or JW Night Talk. And by the way, JW Night Talk now is going to be held every Monday night at 4 or 5 o'clock, our time. So it depends where you're at, that Mountain Standard. So it'd be the same time. And then Wednesday night we have Joe and Fran. They're doing the Wednesday night, and that's been going for about 4 hours. And we filled up our whole StreamYard, so we're actually getting a bigger StreamYard for this week. And we'll be able to hold more people as that community grows. So we welcome you to that Joe and Fran show on Wednesday. And then Thursday is our day off because we're making stuff. And today is Friday. So Friday will be, this time will be our third live. So we'll be doing 3 lives each week, along with some news in between and other stuff that we play with. So we welcome everyone to the show. We have a great show. We're covering a couple of topics. The first topic we're going to talk about, the main topic, is JW broadcasting. And it's interesting. Let's just call it interesting. If we stand back and look at the whole thing, we know why they did it. If you haven't seen the broadcast yet, we're going to take a look at a little bit of it. We crunched it down from an hour and 4 minutes to 10 minutes. So that's what we got it crunched down to. I'm going to go to my comment board here and say hi to a few people that just showed up. So here we go. We have Jay. Hello, Jay. You're the first one. Thanks for being with us. You're a great supporter in the community. Thanks for everything you do. You're also on Discord, which, by the way, folks, we should have an updated link after the show for Discord. It's already up, so you can click on there. You just have to get the app, the Discord app, and then this allows you into the community, these invites. So we show the invite in all of our descriptions in our videos, and the community is really growing, like, rapidly. And there's people from all over the world. There's a language robots in there, so they translate from Spanish into English and vice versa. So now we can seamlessly just talk to people in Spain, people in Rome, people in Mexico, because we only speak English, people in Norway. I think there's a Norwegian. So there's up to 50 of these language translators. It's quite an interesting community. The way it's set up, and this is all free. There's no charge for any of it. Does it cost us something? It costs us a little bit for the robots, but it's not a big deal. But it's all about the community. It's about the community. So thanks, Jay. You're in there helping. You know all about that kind of stuff, and that's great. Jay's been helping out in the community. So Brandy, hello, Brandy Bear. Brandy Bear, hello. And P, Vern, your contact makes my day. Yeah. Well, thank you for that. Appreciate that. Innocent people, don't take the fifth. Yeah. Okay. Bruce, Hurt. Morning, Vern found a beautiful tropical Australia. From beautiful tropical Australia, Bruce. Hello, Bruce. Welcome to the show. And we have Cindy Lynn. Hello, Cindy Lynn. Welcome. And who else do we have here? We have Roxanne Brodrin. I don't know how to say that. Do you say Jogren, or do you not say the J? You just go Sogren. Probably Sogren, right? So hello, you're one of my favorite podcasts. Well, thank you again. Yeah, well, that's you guys think it's all me. My wife and I were just talking about this just before the show, and someone watched one of my first videos the other day. There's probably 4 or 5. We have probably over 500 videos now. So that came up, and he said, "Wow, you've really changed your method." Well, I didn't change my method. I was just really stern. Like, I was serious, angry. I was pissed off. So I did 8 videos, directed 1 out of 8. So there's like 8, 1 of 8, 2 of 8, 3 of 8. And it ended up that I ended up putting poetry into each of these videos. I went back and watched a few of them just to see what was going on in my head. And it was weird. We're going to talk about this, guys. At the end of the show, we're going to talk about inspiration. Where do we get inspiration as creators? Where does this stuff come from? What do we go through? Is this all just part of everyone goes through this stuff? There's some interesting research on this. We're going to look at this. I'm going to save it. So thanks, Roxanne, for reminding me of my good wife, because we talked, and I was going to quit after the 8th video. And then she says, well, maybe you should, document how you're feeling each day, and I said, no, I'm not going to do that. And then so something would happen. When you're waking up, you're angry. I was really pissed off. I got cheated. I got cheated out of 30 years of my life. That's how I felt. And so I was kind of dealing with this. I was dealing with all of this stuff. It's part of the waking up process, by the way. If you're feeling like that, I would go online and I would look at a video. I'm not going to name, but there's lots of different videos, right? I'd look at this creator and I'd say, I'm not watching that stuff. And I'd look at this. My wife had no issues with watching these things. Of course, she's not dealing with being deprogrammed, right? We didn't know what we were dealing with then. When this all started, when I started this channel, I didn't know what I was dealing with. Had no therapy or anything. I just knew I was flippant at times, alone, lost. It's another topic. We all the same feelings that a lot of you guys have had. So you start waking up and you start realizing that you've been cheated. You feel it's like going through a divorce. You come home one day and your ex, well, you're already in the overdraft, right? So let's say you have an overdraft and you put your house on the line. You have your whole house on the line. And that supports your overdraft in the bank. And you come home one day, you're already in the overdraft. And you come home one day and your overdraft is maxed out. $70,000 taken out of your bank account. Maxed right out against your house. Her house too, I guess. So that forces a divorce. You're sitting there, you're trying to run your business. You can't run your business. You have to shut everything down. Because you have no money, you have no operating line, and you're using your house as an operating line. That's how a lot of small businesses work, by the way. You get ahead enough, you get a house, and then you use it as an operating line. That's kind of the life. Anyways, that's not what this show is about. It's not about that. Blue Rose. Hello, Blue Rose. Welcome to the show. Dion's thumb ring. Hello, everyone. Carol Riley. Yeah, Joe and Fran, they're great too. I agree. If you haven't seen Joe and Fran, they're worth watching. T. Crouch. Greetings to you all from Lusaka, Zambia. Hello, T. Crouch. Welcome to the show. And we have Thibby Dems. Yes, finally I can watch without getting up for work. Did I say that right? Yes. You're welcome. Yeah, you guys are up all night. I see. You're trying. Okay, so we're trying to. Yeah. Okay, great. That's why my wife knows more about this stuff than I do, but she said that's why we're doing these different times. I just go along for the ride. That's what I've been doing. And we're going to talk about that at the end. Hello, Blue Rose again. I already said hi to you. There's Mina. Hello, Mina. Hello. And I said, Leopold, did we say hi? Well, now we're saying hi. And did we get everyone? Timothy, Blue, we got Vanessa. Hello, Vanessa. And I think we're good. We're at the bottom. Oh, there we go. Did I get it? No, I missed it. Glad to see you. Glad. Hello. Yes, good Glad. I don't know who Glad is, young or old. Glad's with us all the time. Hello, Leopold. BC. BC. Hazelton, BC. Eh? Oh, interesting. We hope to move there. Well, not Hazelton, but BC maybe. British. If anybody doesn't know what BC is, in Canada, BC is one of the most beautiful provinces in, supernatural British Columbia. Beautiful. If you look behind me in my background here, that's BC. That's what it looks like. Lakes and valleys. This is like an off-grid cabin behind me. There's no saddle or no nothing here. The only way to get this internet stream in is through the Elon Musk thing. Yeah, it's through the satellite. Now we're gonna get to our show here. That's what we're signed up for. Now we have an interesting show. I put together a video. It's a 25-minute video. So watch along with me. I've included my comments, what I think of the broadcast, what I think of what's going on in JW Oregon. This is what we try to figure out, I guess, is okay, what we're going to learn today, or what we're going to talk about, is that you and I are engineers. We are engineers that have been turfed out of the company, or we left the company. We left the religion voluntarily because we realized they have some seatbelt issues. People are dying in that religion. The blood doctrine is not validated in the Bible, not at all. I have a video on that. It's big red video. If you look in it's called Blood. In one video, you'll see all the scriptures. Paul said it's a conscience matter. And that was all about just for the Jews, that blood thing. So anyways, folks, JW Oregon has made their whole religion based on this blood doctrine. And it was not originally done like that by Russell, the imposter. I call him an imposter. Rutherford was an imposter. When he took over, he threw all of Russell's books out, wrote 37 of his own. Russell had only written 27 books, threw them all out, outlawed it, and then implemented all these new rules: no beards, no mothers, no Father's Day, no Christmas, no birthdays, all of these things. The blood came later through Nor, but Nor was they were all the apostates. Rutherford built an army. And so this army attracted all these same types of apostates, leaders, if you think of it that way. These are businesses. Now, the Russellites did continue on. They lost their business. They lost the main core of their business, their religion that Russell left behind. And they lost it, but the Russellites still continue on. Today, I think there's 50,000 on the earth, Russellites still. So maybe the Russellites will start coming back to the Kingdom Hall. I wonder. I doubt it, because you see, the Russellites were true Russellites. They followed Russell's 27 books. This blood doctrine, Russell talked about it. He explained it properly. We talk about that in our blood video. So anyways, it's an interesting journey, this JW journey, waking up, the process of waking up, the feelings of being angry. And now when you get to this, to a certain level, you look on this religion and you look at them all, and they're all just businesses. They're businesses. They're manufacturers of vehicles. When we think of a religion is like a vehicle, in a sense, that's supposed to take you to spirituality, help you achieve. You see, spirituality is within. It's part of us finding spirituality. We have to find it within. No matter where we are, we can find spirituality being a Jehovah's Witness, being a Mormon, being a Catholic. There's a lot of good all over the earth that's done by all of the religious groups, all of them. We complain on this channel. I'll talk a lot about JWs because I was one for 30 years, and I'll compare it to the humanitarian when we think of humanitarian needs, well, all these other religious groups, they also take care of humanitarian needs. Now, you'd be surprised to know that they do a hell of a lot more than JW.org does or even tries to do. There's religions out there building hospitals, building nursing homes, orphanages, really trying to follow the scriptures. There's some really good religions out there, really working hard to help people. So this channel is not about knocking religion at all, not at all, but it's understanding religion, understanding that there's all these different religions out there. There's all these different vehicles that you can hop into and take a ride and try to find spirituality, try to understand where the spirituality is. So this is a journey that we're each on individually. I'm on this channel sharing my journey with you guys. And when I started this journey a couple of years ago, I was angry. I was really angry. And then I calmed down. And then as you get further away from it, you start realizing, oh, wait a minute. They're all kind of the same. They all have seatbelt issues. They all have emission issues. None of them really meet up to the standards. They all lie through their teeth. They do. Some of them get caught. And that's what's happening with JW.org. It's getting caught today. It's getting caught for all its lying in court and stuff. So we talk about that on other videos. So let's get into the broadcast. Here we go. Buckle onto your seatbelts. Get your coffees. It's 25 minutes. I'm going to get it up on the screen here. Where are we? Add to the stage. There we go.
When I was young, one of my favorite desserts was my mother's sweet potato pie. It always tasted the same. To me, it was perfect every time. I'd often ask her, "Mom, what do you put in here to make it taste so good?" She'd always respond, "I just use the same stuff every time." In other words, number one, she wasn't going to tell me. And two, she had a recipe that worked, so she never changed it. Well, the Bible is like a cookbook, full of recipes that work, that can make our life spiritually successful. Please note how Paul explains the benefits of these recipes at 2 Timothy chapter 3, verses 16 and 17. All scripture is inspired of God and beneficial for teaching, for reproving, for setting things straight, for disciplining in righteousness, so that the man of God may be fully competent, completely equipped for every good work. Sometimes the recipe from God's inspired word comes in the form of a Bible example. As we study that example, we extract qualities and attitudes that we can imitate. Other times, there's a list of qualities, such as the various aspects of the fruitage of God's Spirit mentioned in Galatians chapter 5, or the list of positive things to consider at Philippians 4.
Religion is like a vehicle. You remember when you were first choosing your car, your first car perhaps, or maybe your second or third, whatever. But maybe you're a Ford guy. My dad was more of a Chev guy. So it depends, what vehicle have you grew up with? A lot of people grow up, my dad drove a Ford and his dad drove a Ford or a Dodge. Maybe you're a Dodge man. But my dad was a Chev guy, and guess what? I drive a Chev. I drive a GMC, same thing, General Motors. And I know guys that drive Fords. They love Fords. They wouldn't drive a Chev. Maybe you're a Volkswagen guy. Volkswagen. Maybe you like the Volkswagen. I always thought those Volkswagens, they're good on gas, cheap to run, cheapest thing on the road, and you can get those ones, you can live in them. That'd be cool, eh? But maybe you went out and said, you know what? We have the cleanest engine on the market. Our engine meets all the emissions and all of this stuff, and maybe it doesn't. Maybe it lied to all the people out there and told them all these things just to make them buy your car, hop into your religion. And maybe someone within the vehicle manufacturer, the motor manufacturer, an engineer knew that there was some problems with the vehicle. Maybe the vehicle had a seatbelt issue and people were dying. And so the engineer leaves, and then he's threatened. He's disfellowshipped from everyone. You know, people in the company are told not to associate with him. He's, you know, maybe the company sues him or something even. And all the guy was doing is leaving because he cared about people. So he left the religion, left the vehicle company, the motor company, and to try to help people. And so that happens. That's kind of like being an apostate. You know, these guys leave and then they blow the whistle. They're whistleblowers, really. Why? Well, because they've seen what they've engineered to kill people. It's just not helping people. Or maybe it's not efficient. It's not, you know, they lied through their teeth on the emissions and it's not what they say it is. That sounds to me like religion. You know, each religion, you know, they have their vehicle. And if you grew up in that vehicle, you're familiar with it, right? You grew up in that vehicle. You spent all those years going to town with your mom and dad in that vehicle. You're going to get the same thing. I'm going to get a Chev. I'm a Chev guy. Oh, you know, this is who we are as people. We like to travel in vehicles, but maybe you don't want to use a vehicle and you want to do something different. Well, you could ride a bike, I guess. You could walk. Those are always good things. Now, when we think of religion, a lot of people think of spirituality, but spirituality has nothing to do with religion, nothing to do with it at all. Spirituality. When you think of spirituality, I think of harmony with nature, harmony with ourselves. That's spirituality. Harmony. If we have a belief in God, you see, we can be spiritual, but maybe we don't believe in a higher power. Maybe we're a humanist, but we're spiritual. We're in harmony. We're spiritual. We're in harmony with nature, with everything around us. That can happen. There's different ways of being spiritual, but it's not religion. Religion is just a vehicle. Now, the vehicle can take you to a place of spirituality where you want to go. Maybe you want to go to the beach and do some meditation on the beach or something. The vehicle can take you there. Well, the religion. So the religions today, they're vehicles to spirituality. So you go to the religion, you go into the church, and you get a sense of spirituality. And you should, because there's men there, men and women that are trained about God, about the book, about the Bible. There's different types of spirituality, different Bibles on earth. But people come to these places, these temples, these churches, kingdom halls. They come to them for spirituality, to learn about God, to learn about the higher power, how to have faith in God, who is God. Or do people learn that at every church? Do they teach that? Well, not all churches. Some religions have seatbelt issues. Some religions don't meet the emissions. They don't follow the Bible. You see, the Bible, there'd be a Bible of emissions, you know, let's say, pretend. Follow along with my analogy. So some of the religions don't follow the Bible. They've changed it. And they've inserted, taken out, and they kind of made their own Bible. There's a lot of religions that have done that. Some religions keep making Bibles or volumes. The Watchtower does that. They have when I was in it, we had a bound volume for every year. A bound volume of Watchtowers. You see, in them days, we'd get 2 Watchtowers a month. So you'd end up with 24 of them in a bound volume. They'd bind them, and then you'd put them on a shelf, this big brown bound volume, 1981, all the Watchtowers. And then you'd have an awake one. You see, we used to get awakes too, twice a month, I believe. And they'd have a bound volume of all these awakes. So we'd have 30, I was in it for 30 years. So you'd have 30 bound volumes of Watchtowers and 30 of these bound volumes of awakes. And anytime there was a litigation issue, because you couldn't go to courts for civil matters or other matters, you had to go to the Watchtower. And you'd go through the Watchtower. So they ended up making indexes. So you could look up certain words, and it would help you find the bound volume on the shelf. It was litigation. Now it's done by computers. So they're still doing it, but it's all done through the website. They get you in, and it's all litigation. These are businesses that run, and they might have some seatbelt issues that kill people. Watchtower does. They have some issues in there. They've strayed from the Bible. They don't meet the emissions in the religion because of the blood doctrine. Kills people. Bad decision. Apostle Paul said it's conscience. Yes, it's conscience. We've had many videos on that. The two witness rule, hiding pedophilia within, just so that Watchtower doesn't get a bad name. Now remember, we're going to look at their broadcast this the February one that just came out. Remember, Jehovah equals Watchtower. Jehovah equals Watchtower. If you want to know about Jehovah in this whole wide world, you plug it into your computer. Where do I learn about it? They'll send you to the Kingdom Hall, Watchtower. Google will send you there, because Jehovah is a made-up name. It's not God's name, believe it or not. Jehovah does not appear anywhere in the New Testament. Yahweh does not either. You see, Watchtower put it in. They inserted it 237 times, and they said, because we think it should be there. But yet, on the other hand, they're not inspired. So then the common person like me would ask the question, well, who gives you the authority to make that big of a change? When it says in Revelation that if anyone adds or anyone takes away, they're going to hell. They have to deal with the judgment. Jesus. It's not a nice thing if you do that. But they've done it. They've changed the book. They've changed the emissions. They have problems. It's full of problems. And when you have problems, who do you blame? Well, it's those darn engineers that quit the company, and they're out there, and they wrote books about us. They wrote books about our auto company, and they said that we have faulty engines and we don't meet emissions. And well, who are these guys? Well, they're engineers. Where did they? Well, they worked right with the leaders. Right in with the leaders. Right in with the governing body. Ones have left. And they don't like it, so there are books written, ones. There's anointed ones. Pentant here in Alberta wrote a book. He was anointed and took the emblems every year. His son wanted to go to university. He looked in the Bible. The Bible says education is like gold. It's like silver. It's better than it. That's what the Proverbs says. And he sent his son to university, and they got rid of him. The Watchtower got rid of him. They don't like higher education. So the guy left and wrote a book. Another guy was in with them, governing body member. He said, there's some stuff happening here that's not right, guys. Doesn't meet the Bible. They kicked him out. They disfellowshipped him. That's what happens. Anyways, we're going to take a look at their broadcast this month. We're going to see how this vehicle, it's a vehicle, folks. It's a business. It's just like any car manufacturer, and this vehicle has some issues. It's caused people to lose loss of life. This vehicle, and now this vehicle is getting sued left and right, and so it's trying to cover its tracks. It's full of holes. But what we're going to see in the broadcast today, this vehicle is blaming the engineers that left the company. This vehicle manufacturer, this religion is blaming the people that were brave enough to leave the company, leave the religion, because of humanitarian reasons, because they love people and they don't want to see any more bloodshed, any more people dying, any more families getting split up. This vehicle has a tendency just to lose a tire, and the car rolls over, and the whole family scatters, and everyone gets broken up. You see, this vehicle, this religion, is not about keeping the family tightly together. If one member of the family decides to leave and ride in another vehicle, maybe they decide to go Ford. I'm a Chev guy, they went Ford. Everyone in the Chev family has to disfellowship them, never ever talk to them again. They're Ford people. We're Chevs, right? Isn't that ridiculous? It's just utterly ridiculous, but that's the way this religion works. But anyways, folks, let's look in on this religion and let's see how it works. We're going to look at the broadcast. We crunched the broadcast down to 10 minutes from an hour and 4 minutes. So we got all the main points out. Now, what you'll notice is every time they say Jehovah, Davis is there saying Watchtower, and he's watching them. Watchtower. So remember, Jehovah equals Watchtower. Jehovah's not in the Bible. Jehovah equals Watchtower. If you want to know about Jehovah, you go to Jehovah's Witnesses. They'll tell you about Jehovah. And they actually run their religion like Jehovah. Their Bible talks about Jehovah in the Old Testament quite a bit. And they reference the Old Testament pretty well always, because that's where you find Jehovah, the real Jehovah. Anything in the New Testament it was an insert. Jesus never ever once said the word Jehovah, not once. It's a good question, right? Well, we have other videos on that. We do talk about it today. We're going to look at the broadcast. So thanks for listening, and let's get right into it. Bye for now.
As this system draws to a close, Satan will try to divide us from within because we need to trust. Trust in Jehovah and his organization requires humility, but humility helps us to trust that Jehovah knows precisely when and how to act in our behalf. Humility helps us to admit that Jehovah's thoughts are vastly superior to our own. We recognize our limited discernment in comparison with Jehovah's all-encompassing perception. So, as the Great Tribulation approaches, humbly trust in Jehovah and his organization. Be at unity with Jehovah's organization today by keeping calm and showing trust. Remember, we're all in this together. Humility requires trust. So trust that Jehovah's way of doing things is always best.
Jehovah's Witnesses are known for publishing in hundreds of languages, with a website recognized as the most widely translated in the world. But have you ever wondered how we're able to release our literature in print and online in so many languages at once? The answer involves a cutting-edge publishing system that our brothers developed more than 40 years ago, a breakthrough in publishing called MEPS. Revelation chapter 14, verse 6 prophesied that the good news would be preached to every nation and tribe and tongue and people.
It does not say that.
So we got to work on building MEPS. Some brothers and sisters concentrated on the hardware, the actual circuitry. Other brothers concentrated on the screen itself and building that. And then others of us concentrated on the software.
The project began. The governing body realized that if Jehovah's Witnesses worldwide could somehow study the same material each week at meetings, it would unite them as never before. The April 1st, 1984 issue of the Watchtower became the first to be published in multiple languages simultaneously. In just the next year, the number of simultaneous languages grew to, and by 2021, the study edition of the Watchtower was being published simultaneously in more than 390 languages. Almost all of Jehovah's Witnesses are now able to study the same spiritual food at our meetings at the same time.
Truly a printing business.
Truly a modern-day miracle. MEPS programming paved the way for Watchtower Library on CD-ROM and contributed to the development of the JW Library app.
But what if we face a situation where we personally begin to wonder if Jehovah is blessing us? One sister was overly concerned about her husband finding employment, but she later realized the value of him keeping up his spiritual routine in the ministry with her. But she learned to rejoice, as did John, in seeing Jehovah use others to advance kingdom interests. Often in lands where our work is banned, lies and propaganda are spread to justify persecution. But it's not just in such lands where we face false reports, misinformation, and outright lies. In fact, even though we bear the truth, apostates and others may cast us as dishonest, as deceivers. How can we respond to that unfair treatment?
Have you ever been confronted by a bad report, false report about Jehovah's people?
Watchtower.
It may be a newspaper article or a segment on the evening news, or perhaps some subject is brought up in the ministry. It could be a broad range of subjects. Our neutral stand, our stand on blood, our adherence to Jehovah's
Watchtower.
elevated moral standard and appreciation for the sanctity of marriage, or our insistence on keeping the congregation clean by disfellowshipping unrepentant wrongdoers. But whatever the subject, there are some commonalities. Such reports are often characterized by distortions, inaccuracies, and sometimes outright falsehood. And inevitably, they're presented with certainty and surety as though they were fact. When you're confronted with such a report, how do you feel? Disheartened? Discouraged? Angry? Consider the experience of a pioneer sister who was conducting a Bible study. And in the course of conducting the study, a woman walked into the house unannounced. She didn't ring the doorbell, didn't knock. And as it turned out, an acquaintance of the student, she walked right in, interrupted the Bible study, and in her hand was a book written by a man who at one time had associated with Jehovah's people. The woman said to the student, "You need to read this book." Well, an interesting conversation ensued, and our sister found herself in the position of being cast in the role of a deceiver. How did she handle that situation? And how did the Bible student respond? Well, we worship Jehovah, the God of truth. And as our Watchtower comment makes the point, we're truthful in things big and small. We love the truth. We love telling the truth about Jehovah. He says, through glory and dishonor, through bad report and good report. And then this intriguing statement, we are regarded as deceivers, and yet we are truthful. Now that's an interesting paradox, isn't it? To be truthful and yet cast in the role of a deceiver. When we are confronted with a negative report that does that to Jehovah's people, it's good to remember that Jehovah was the first target of such an attack. Now we learned something about Satan's method. He didn't begin with a statement, he began with a question, and not just a question that was designed to sow seeds of doubt. Have you ever considered some questions that Eve could have asked herself that would have helped her to make a good decision? Here's one. What do I know about the person who is the source of this negative report? What is his motive? Does he have my best interests at heart? Or does he have an agenda? And another question, Before I accept as truth a negative report from someone I don't know, is there someone I do know, someone I trust, who I can talk with and get some good advice? Well, Eve certainly could have talked with her husband, and together they could have talked with Jehovah. And if Eve had asked herself those questions, the world would likely be a much different place today. But Eve chose to believe a lie. How about the pioneer sister and the Bible student that I mentioned earlier? How did they handle the situation? Well, the pioneer sister told us that she reflected on the fact that she was a guest in the Bible student's house. And so she felt it would be rude for her to interrupt the conversation. So she chose to say, no. What did the Bible student do? Interestingly, she asked the woman, do you know the man who wrote that book? No. Do you know his motive for writing? Why would he write such a book? Well, I know this lady who comes and studies the Bible with me, and I know her motive is good, so I don't think I need to read your book. What a beautiful response. The Bible student got it. And we get it too. We know, and we're not surprised, that we will be the target of negative reports. At times, we may even be cast in the role of deceivers. And Jehovah has frankly told us that there are some who are willing to exchange the truth of God for the lie. But that will never be true of you or me. Instead, we hold to Jehovah, the God of truth. We continue to recommend ourselves as God's ministers by truthful speech.
When I was young, one of my favorite desserts was my mother's sweet potato pie. It always tasted the same. To me, it was perfect every time. I'd often ask her, Mom, what do you put in here to make it taste so good? She'd always respond, I just use the same stuff every time.
Okay, well, that was a little bit of fun. We okay, I'm going to go back to the beginning there. Silence that. Yeah, that was an interesting broadcast. I think if I were to watch that broadcast 2 years ago, I couldn't do it. I couldn't watch these broadcasts a couple of years ago because all these broadcasts, when you're in it and you get out and you might have been manhandled by elders or something, but usually there's situations that happen that kind of wake us up and tell us, it's not good for our health to be in that organization, let alone, if we wanted to survive. That was kind of my situation. My health was just going downhill. And I knew I had to get out. It was just, I was being, when you're being judged all the time. There was a lot of that going on in our family. But I it's now that I can kind of pull myself out of it, I look in now and it's just a car manufacturer. It's no different. It's getting sued. Car manufacturers, they've been pumping out cars for a lot of years, since the early 1900s. We've been driving an automobile to get us from one place to another. Before that was a horse and buggy, I guess. A trains came about earlier, so trains were a mode of transportation. But when we think of spirituality, spirituality is really a mode of transportation. Here, let me just change my screen. So yeah, spirituality is or religion. Religion is just kind of a vehicle. So, you can go to the different churches, learn about God, learn about the Bible, learn about the basics. We talk a lot about Jehovah's Witnesses on this channel. I believe that there's a lot of good that Jehovah's Witnesses, now let's separate Jehovah's Witnesses, the people, let's separate them from the leaders, the 9 men that sit in New York. Those are fundamentally the leaders. And then that was proven in the Montana court system. They've been claiming here in courts, and they've been winning and saying that, no, we got a separation. We're just a company, a printing company. You see, they want to be just a printing company on paper, but yet in reality, they want to control every little inch, everything, every building, every detail. They own everything. They had all the kingdom halls signed over to them so they could own it all. So they had to change their whole corporate structure. They told everyone that we're going to make life easier for you. You're not going to have to pay for maintenance and stuff like that. Just give it all over to us. And so they all did. All the Jehovah's Witnesses did. They gave it all over to this big corporation. And they have many businesses now. They layered themselves with multiple businesses. So I hope everyone out there can see this. That is watching, if you're waking up, separate yourself. Just don't take this personal. You've ridden in this vehicle. Maybe your mom and your dad rode this religion. You don't have to. You can get out and ride in another religion if you want. It's going to tell you similar stuff. You got to be careful. They're all similar. You can learn about God on the internet easier. You can learn a lot more, in my opinion. And we were watching a program here just the other day. Just yesterday, we were watching Y-Files. I don't know if you guys watch Y-Files, but he had a program there, and it was actually really educational. He got into a lot of the religious stuff. He's getting, there's a lot of people out there that are researching religion. They're fascinated. And this guy doesn't claim to really be any religion or anything. He's Y-Files. He kind of tackles conspiracy theories and things like that. But he got into the Knights of the Templar, the Masons, and all the history. And he did a fabulous job. It's one of the best jobs I've seen on that topic. Really explained a lot of history. And he does a lot of research. He explained his research. And he said that he was knocked by a lot of, Jesus type people for his videos, but he puts them out because they do lean on the side, like that video leans the Templars. And I didn't realize this. They were not Gnostic. They were Gnostic. They had Gnostic writings. Now, Gnostic or gnosis, it means knowledge. He explained that nicely. That's what the word means. And the Templars at that time, they had this extra knowledge, and they were protecting this knowledge. It's a really interesting, it was an interesting program. What he does is he debunks things, though, and his program was based on a book, an ex-Templar. An ex-Templar wrote a book. This guy got out and wrote this book, and so he did this show on it. And he has a lot of researchers. This guy, Y-Files, has 3 million subscribers. He has a whole team of researchers, and it was one of the best jobs I have. I'm not going to post it. It's not JW related, so I'm not going to post it on our site or anything, but you guys can go check it out. It's his latest video. He just turned it over yesterday. I probably gave him enough time on this show. But you never know. He might give me some time back. Maybe I'll reference it. I'll put it in the description below. Okay. I'll put it in there in my video because I talked about it. That does get you credits. My good wife says it shows up. It's good to, if you find a good video, share it. Go at Fixing My Faith. So our name shows up, and you tag the person. Share the video. You can share it off your site. It helps us as creators. It tells YouTube that the video is important enough that people are sharing it, that, hey, maybe, because YouTube's a machine built on algorithms. And if we don't feed the algorithms, we don't get the results we want. So you guys are the audience. You actually feed the algorithms of YouTube. And you do it by your comments, by your likes, your dislikes. Like, there's nothing wrong with dislikes. If you're a JW out there and you think I'm telling a bunch of BS, dislike it. Don't like it because it doesn't conform to your beliefs. Don't be a hypocrite. Always, people, be true to who you are, true to self. Always be true to self. And then God will, and keep seeking. The Bible taught us all, keep searching, keep seeking, and we will find it. We will find that greater knowledge. And I'm going to share something with you guys here. We're going to get, now, did we want to go back to the broadcast? Did you guys get the whole point of it? I can go, pardon me? Yeah, it helps a bit. It makes it fun. But the broadcast, all they're doing is they're a car manufacturer. They're leaking. They got seatbelt issues. They're getting their butts sued off in court. They're losing dealerships in Norway. Norway's not recognizing them as an authorized religious dealership. This is how you got to look at it, folks. So you see, with religion, because we're dealing with humanitarian needs and stuff like that, governments do like to help religions, have them. And you see, if you're ever in need, you're on the street, you're down and out, and you're crawling on your knees, you crawl to the nearest church. It doesn't matter what denomination you are. You crawl to the nearest church, and they have to open their doors and let you in. Or else they're not a church. That's the fact of it. So you're an apostate. Your family members are going to that church. You're crawling in, you're in need. They'll kick you out. 3 brothers will surround you, and they'll push you out. They'll force you out. If you're an apostate, if you're public like us online, your face is visible, don't even bother. You're well known. They're going to push you out. The brothers, there's training. I've been involved on the other side. This is the problem. We were also on the other side. We were also soldiers on the other side. I was involved at an assembly when I was a ministerial servant. I was called to action to circle the apostates. I didn't know who the hell I was circling. I didn't realize at the time it was a big blood issue thing. This little kid, they stopped this little kid from taking blood in Edmonton here, and he died. And they didn't even tell the dad. It was just a mess. I played this on my channel a lot. And I was probably one of the JWs in there circling the apostates. And so what they do is they never touch the person. So let's say my microphone is the apostate. They circle him with enough brothers here, and then they already know what they're doing. They're moving this guy out the door, right? And they have another brother leading the way. And so all these brothers start walking, and this whole crowd walks, and the mic automatically pushes, because it's all walking, and you automatically walk with the group. So if you're a really good apostate, you just don't move. You just don't move. If you really want to do it. But that's not for everyone. I know it's not my game. I'm not going to do any of that. That's not what I do. I'm a spokesman on a channel. That's what I do. I have a good wife in the background there. Drives the show. And so far, we're not driven to do that. We're going to talk about what we're driven to do. That's the next topic. But this is a car dealership. It's a religion. It's being sued. It's breaking the laws. It's like the Catholic Church, Mormon Church. They're all getting sued for covering up child sex abuse. I said that really quick. We don't want to get flagged. But that's what it is. These are crimes, folks. This is so easy for me to just walk out that door, and these are just businesses. They're growing their business. They're using the Bible as a tool. It's really, where this gets tricky is using the Bible sorry about that mic thing, but using the Bible when you're not supposed to use it for your own, like what they're doing, putting God's name in that Bible when they shouldn't be. Again, I come back to the fact that, let's just pull this screen up here. I come to the fact that these guys have to stand by this. Where is that? I'm going to move this. You can see that? Let's see if it'll play. You see, they said this. I don't know how to take this. I take it for face value. This religion is not inspired. So if you're in this religion, they're telling you they're not inspired.
And also, the governing body is neither inspired nor infallible. And so it can err in doctrinal matters or in organizational direction. Well, knowing this, then, we are not embarrassed about adjustments that are made nor is an apology needed for not getting it exactly right previously. We understand this is how Jehovah operates. He reveals matters gradually when it is needed.
Okay, so they admit it, that they don't know what the hell they're doing, these guys. They're just walking in the dark. As they get sued over here, they're going to make changes over here. As they get sued over here, you see, they inherited this religion. It's the same vehicle, this JW vehicle that they've been riding since Russell. Russell started it. Rutherford really made it a Cadillac. He drove a Cadillac, and he made a Cadillac of a business. He got the preaching work going. It was all Rutherford. And he did that big time. I shouldn't say all Rutherford. He carried it on because Russell had the Masons working for him. He had the Masons working for him, and they were holding all their meetings in Pennsylvania, New York area, in all Mason temples. That's history. There's a lot of ex-JWs that talk about that. So there's a connection. Are they Mason today? I don't think so. Are the leaders? I can't vouch for anything those leaders do. Like, to me, those leaders are run by Satan the devil. They're angels of light. They're trying to look like they're all good, but they have all this bad going on. They have issues. People are dying every day because of their blood doctrine. Families split up because of their disfellowshipping and shunning doctrine. So they have some serious issues from a way back. And if they fix the issues, it shows that they're guilty. But you see, the video we just watched, I think it's a disclaimer. I think it's a legal disclaimer. And I think these guys are saying that we're not inspired. We've made doctrinal errors, we've made mistakes, but we're not going to apologize because it's about the light getting brighter. That's what this religion is about. And it's been working that way since day one. Why? Because it's made itself its own Book of Mormon. Anytime you deviate from the real Bible and you start making your own Book of Mormon, they went beyond. They make a bound volume. The whole religion is based on all the bound volumes, all the years of those bound volumes. And as new information comes out, it's just like a litigation. It takes over. So you have to go with the latest. So let's say you're dealing with a certain issue in the congregation. Well, maybe in 1959 they believed this, but now they believe this. You have to go with the most recent one. It's litigation. The Bible wasn't designed to litigate. The Bible was designed, Jesus left us the message of love. It was quite simple. Treat your neighbor as you'd want to be treated. Now, for me to talk to my neighbor in a JW world, I have to be a lawyer. I have to be a JW lawyer. I have to know how to litigate. You have to know how to litigate online. You notice they all have tablets? They all have tablets because they're all connected to this JW org right here. It's right in front of us, that little emblem, JW Broadcasting. Everyone's connected to it, and they have their tablet. And for them to talk to each other, it's all according to the JW litigation on their website. So now all of those bound volumes that I had in my library back then when we had no computers or no internet is now sunk into this website. And each day they're not printing magazines because no one's reading anymore. Everyone's watching movies. So they're making movies or starting a movie theater. It's smart marketing. They're marketing their business. And you see, because they've built a business upon litigation, upon them being the rulers, them being the only ones that are, wait a minute, they're not inspired. And they're changing everything. Well, okay, you see, there's the cognitive dissonance. How can you be the faithful slave of a group of people and you're not even inspired? Answer me that question. We're going to move on. Here's what the Bible says. They used a scripture. They used a scripture in their broadcast when they were building their MEPS. And I always thought when I was a JW, I was kind of proud of the fact that they built this big MEPS and they could simultaneously print in the same language all over the earth, right? But did you see the little bit that we showed? Like if you watched the whole hour broadcast, there was a whole pile of video on this MEPS. That's all they had. Folks, that's all they had to show you and I as the audience. is that they created this MEPS. You see, all the other religious vehicles, I know this religion, it builds hospitals, builds nursing homes, builds orphanages, helps people, that one. There's another religion over here, does the same thing. They build hospitals, nursing homes. Oh, there's these little religions here. They're going into Africa and putting solar systems in schools. They're not spending money on building air-conditioned homes for missionaries. We're going to look at that. That's that LCD program that they have on their website. They're building air-conditioned homes for the missionaries. The missionaries come from Canada, where it's cold, Canada, the US, the northern part where New York is. They get snow and cold. So all the missionaries, it's a privilege. You get a missionary, you get to go to a warm climate, Africa. And you get to go down there where it's warm and enjoy that. But the problem is these missionaries go down there and they're living in huts. They're having to live like the Africans, and they don't like it because they come from US, Canada, So the Watchtower now is going down. They're using all the volunteer money, the LCD program, to build air-conditioned homes for the missionaries, make their life a little better, make it more like a holiday. And that's the truth, because up here in Canada, I was pioneering and I was complaining I could not get anybody to go up to the Arctic of Canada to help with unassigned territories. I had to pay people. I was paying publishers, and I got home and I got a bill. I paid all the expenses. We did some work. That's how I did this whole thing. I get home, I got a bill from elders. And I said, you know what? I'm done with it. If this is Jehovah's work, I'm done with it. I had a no preaching order. I wasn't allowed to preach up north because of a whole family issue in my household. So anyways, they worked me over, these elders. I could pioneer, but I wasn't allowed to preach up north. How can you be a pioneer and not allowed to preach up north? But then when I got back, they deleted me as a pioneer too. And then I quit. But it was all over bullying inside the congregation. And that's what I thought it was. I thought, it was bullying. I didn't blame Jehovah. I didn't blame the Bible or any of the doctrines. I didn't look at the doctrines. It's just a group of bullies in one congregation. But I experienced it in 5 congregations. 5 congregations. You see, by that time, I was already in it for 30 years by that time. And I experienced a lot. And I thought, it's not going to change. I'm just leaving. So I told the brothers, I will worship Jehovah on my own accord. It's like Moses going up to the Midianites and worshiping Jehovah and whatever. Well, you're going to marry a worldly... Fuck you, I said. It's none of your darn business what I do. Moses did. Moses went out and married a worldly woman, and he came back and led the nation out. And I'm not saying I'm Moses. I just told the brothers that this is BS. It's BS. You see, spirituality is inside. It's nothing to do with going to a kingdom hall or some elder standing at your door and he's going to read you a bunch of scriptures. It's not like that. And here's an organization, now that you get out and you realize you're not even inspired. Okay, let's look at the Bible. But first of all, I want to get this out of the way. They use this scripture, Revelation 14, 6-7, about preaching and delivering the good news. And they're saying, oh yeah, and they quote the scripture, like they just mention it, Revelation 14, 6-7, but then they don't show it, but then they say, this is what we're doing. We're preaching the good news, and MEPS does this, and MEPS makes all of this happen, and this is all MEPS. Let's read this scripture. It says, John was writing this. He had a vision, right? And he says, then I saw another angel flying directly overhead with an eternal gospel to proclaim to those who dwell on the earth, to every nation, tribe, language, and people. And he said with a loud voice, fear God, give him glory, because the hour of judgment has come, and worship him who has made the heaven and earth, the sea, and the spring of the waters. So now I read it quite fast. Let's look at it closely. Here's what he's seen in the vision. Then I saw another angel. So he saw an angel flying directly overhead with the eternal gospels to proclaim to those who dwell on the earth, every nation, tribe, language, and people. Does that sound like that's the Mormon church, the Catholic church, or the Jehovah's Witness church? Which one? It's a multiple question. for you guys out there. Those are, three that we talk about. So this angel is the angel a religion? No, it's an angel. Angels aren't religions. Angels aren't religions. The word religion's used once in the Bible in James 1:27. And he said religions are supposed to look after orphans and widows. These churches, right? If you're crawling on your knees and you need help, you crawl into the nearest church. They're going to look after you. The Catholic Church will look after you. All the other churches will, except that I know of, the Jehovah's Witness and these cults. These cults are very, if you're shunned, okay, we got to find out where you're from. I remember people crawling in. We had people come into Edmonton, one guy showed up from Australia, just showed up, needed some help, was down and out. No one would help him. They couldn't get his records, we got to get your records. And he said, I can't remember who. Well, he says, this is the guy's name, but he's throwing out names, couldn't remember numbers, things like that. In those days, we didn't have cell phones with all the data on it. This guy kind of got stuck. So we took him in. I put him to work out at the farm, and he was a drywaller. He made enough money drywalling the old farmhouse for my mom and dad. My mom and dad were worldly, and he stayed at the farm, and my mom, because no one in the Kingdom Hall would have the guy in. Not one family took this man in. My mom took him in, worldly. Put him up in the basement, fed him, looked after him, and he drywalled the whole house. We hired some other helpers in, but it was a farmhouse, and we paid the guy $3,000 or something, and he flew home. He just needed a help, man. I would have, what my next quote was on this job? The brother that does a drywall in that area wanted $6,000, double, $6,000. It was cheaper for me to give my mom a couple $100 to feed the guy while he did the drywall. It was a way out in the boonies too. So, but yeah, the brothers, my brothers, JW brothers, wanted $6,000. They wanted double. I got it done for $3,000. But that's how it works. You see, Watchtower thinks they're the angel flying directly overhead. For them to quote that scripture is either blasphemy. Think about this, folks. This is the Bible. You don't change the Bible. You don't change the Bible. You can't change the stories in the Bible. I know that. I'm writing my own book. You can't change it. I started changing when I was writing my own book. I thought I had some leeway. I thought I could call it fiction, right? So I threw some fiction in. I thought I was going to take the Bible and I was going to make some stuff up. So I did make a couple characters up, but something stopped me, and it wasn't me. I was getting pissed off because I'd spend, and I'd write, and I'd write this whole story of I made some of my own stuff up, right? And somehow the internet wouldn't, I had glitches, all kinds of glitches. And then I was playing this, and there's what we call Computer Dan in Microsoft. He actually reads the stuff back to you. So I type all my stuff and he'd read it back, and he'd glitch. He wouldn't read certain portions of this stuff I made up. So I didn't know what was going on for the longest time. And I says to my wife, what's going on? And we started looking, and it was always glitching on the stuff I made up all the way through the book. And we sat back and kind of looked at this like a kind of Morse code. Like, what's going on here? Now, I've talked to other creators online on my show that have had, they said when they left the Kingdom Hall, they've had weird experience. They were inspired. We're going to talk about that next. Can you be inspired? Now, Jeremiah talks about it here. I looked this up. All you got to do is go to the Bible tool and punch it in. There's a ton of scriptures about being inspired. For Watchtower to say that they're not inspired, well, those governing body members, they don't write books anymore, do they? They have a writing committee. Maybe the writing committee, are they the inspired ones? Anybody that's writing a book is inspired. You're writing in something that you're delivering to people. What is inspiring you to write that book? we're going to talk about that. We're going to go a little further than this, but here, just briefly, the Bible talks all about being inspired. Here's one, Jeremiah. Then the Lord put out his hand and touched my mouth. And the Lord said to me, behold, I have put my words in your mouth. See, I have set you this day over nations, over kingdoms, to pluck up and break down, to destroy, overthrow, to build, and to plant. So sometimes our books are about plucking up and breaking down, destroying and overthrowing, to build and to plant. That's what happened in Jeremiah's case. He was touched, God touched him. That's why I don't want to discredit anything with the Bible. I think there's a lot that we don't know about the Bible. I think there's a lot of ancient Bible stuff that's been hidden. I know that from my research that the Bible has been altered. There's 30,000 errors in it. They do say it's very accurate for old books. You know, it's plus or minus 95%, right? There's only like 5% kind of. But if you look at the New World Translation, there's a way more, but you know, they don't classify that as a Bible. They don't compare that in any of the research out there regarding authenticity of an old book. Watchtower doesn't meet it. It's like the Book of Mormon. it's doctored too much. So they really doctored it. They really 10 years ago they went out on a limb and pulled stuff out. They just pulled the first part of John 8, 1 to 11, yanked it right out, disappeared. It's all about Jesus telling the prostitute or whatever to go your way. Forgave her sins. Go your way. Just quit sinning. That's what he said. Just quit it. Go. You see, we're not judged for our whole past. We're judged right now. When you die, that's kind of where you're judged. That's where you're at. That's what you achieved. So the reason we want to be working to our potential, I guess, is we could die anytime. You know, there's accidents down a highway or whatever. So you want to be loving people. You know, that's why when you leave home, give your wife a big kiss. Give her a hug. I love you, honey. When you get back. And here's the other thing, folks. What you focus on in life, what you focus on is where you'll go. So if you're a race car driver, and this is proven, if you're a race car driver and you talk to these guys, they focus on, what do they focus on? They're racing around the track, high speeds, 200 kilometers an hour. And they're racing around that track, and there's all kinds of things. They're focusing on where they want to go. You see, if you're focusing on the wall, because you don't want to crash into the wall, so you start focusing on the wall. I don't want to crash into the wall. I don't want to crash into that car. You're going to crash. You will drive where you focus on. If you're focusing on the wall, you will crash into the wall. Just a matter of time. But if you focus on your destination, you will get to your destination. Most of the time, you'll get there. You will get there if you focus on it. And it's amazing. There's a hand helping us. And let's say you had to stop. Maybe you need to use a washroom. You stop, you use the washroom, you get back. Holy crap, there's an accident right up there. If I would have kept going, I would have been in that accident. How many times has that ever happened to you? I know it's not just me. I talk to people, and this happens to all of us. We all are, there's a hand out there. There's something helping us. Or there's an energy, there's something. We don't need to understand it all. But when we understand that we're not alone, it changes things. You see, that's another thing. If we're alone, we get disfellowshipped, or we leave the organization because we're one of those engineers. We realize the seatbelts are faulty. So we leave, got to leave to expose it, right? You might try exposing it inside like Brother Franz did. He tried to. All these different ones tried to. Penton, he tried to expose it inside. I wrote the Bethel 7-page letter. They sent 2 elders with machine guns over. Well, you know how they are. You don't get your ass back to the hall, or we're going to shun you. Like, this is how it is. You can't drive another vehicle. You can't hop out of that vehicle and take a drive in another church. You're disfellowshipped. It's wrong. That's what we're fighting for here on this side of the fence. That's why we know it's wrong. It's completely wrong. So it's against human rights. So here's what Jeremiah God does this. God's doing this work. We're not doing it. We work like a well-oiled machine. They're worried about us. They talk about us in these broadcasts. When they use that much airtime on apostates, be honored. That's a pile of airtime they're pumping out to the world about us. We're nobody. We're all nobodies. We don't even have a group that we call. There's no headquarters. We're all inspired. We all get up in the morning, we're inspired. My wife is more inspired than I am, I think. Like she's the backbone of this. So what's going on there? She's comes from a Catholic background. Why is she inspired? What's going on? I talked to another creator. He comes up, he says, I'm living in my car. They kicked me out of home. I'm living in my car. But every morning at 3:30 in the morning, I don't know what it is. I wake up and I just start making videos. I start writing. And that's what happened with me. When I started writing, so I couldn't sleep. I'd go to bed, sleep just enough to rest, and I wake up and I'd write 6,000 words a day. And within 6 months, and it was every day we went at that book every day. And when I deviated from the story, it seems like I had glitches. But when I kept it on track, it was good. The book came out. But I call it fiction because I don't understand all this stuff. But the Bible that I read says that the God up there will help us all. And is that through the Holy Spirit? I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I do know. I read the same stuff you guys read. But here's some new stuff. This is some new stuff. This is, and I do a little bit of research just to try to understand things. Levels of consciousness. I found this very interesting. The stages of the psychological development, the levels of consciousness or soul. This is what this guy writes about. This is a Brett Academy for the Advancement of Human Values. Now, this guy has written a book. You can go and look at it. We're going to look at this just briefly here. It says, every human being grows in stages, and stages of psychological development, operates at levels of consciousness, and makes decisions about how to get their needs met based on their worldview, right? So if we're Jehovah's Witness, our worldview is this Jehovah's Witness world. And so just as we can mark where we are in the passage of our lives, just excuse me for a bit, I got to wet my tongue here. I don't know about you, but it's winter up here and it's dry, unless you have some kind of a humidifier, but it's dry here. Just as we can mark where we are in the passage of our lives by 7 stages of development. So he's built a model. He feels that there's 7 stages of development. He calls it for the soul. The soul comes to earth and we're on a journey and we try to get through all these stages. And when we do, we go through these stages of development. So I'll post a link to this, but I'm going to cover this really quickly. We're not going to read through this, but I'll post a link to it. And he talks about the first one as survival, survival, health, physical fitness. Now there's 2 columns here. We're going to start with the first one. The very far right column is potentially limiting. And I'm going to put this up on the screen here, like this. Okay, so the right column is potentially limiting. And we're going to go, these are the positive values, levels of consciousness, and stages of development. So we're going to go all the way down, work our way up as if we're coming into this world. We're just starting out. We're just, we're born, we're a baby. So the first level is survival, health, physical, fitness, nutrition, financial, and stability. That's surviving, right? We're all trying to survive. That's all our battle for a lot of us. Those are the positive things. The negative things on this is control, manipulation, greed, and caution. So when we're surviving in this world, we got to be cautious about being controlled, about being manipulated. Greed, we can get greedy too, right? We can control, we can manipulate. So there's all kinds of cautions there when we're going through this stage of development. Let's go to number 2, conforming relationships, safety, family, friendship, belonging, harmony, being liked, blame, jealousy, revenge. We've all been through that stage. You go through that when you're in school. You go through that when you're growing up in the congregation. When you're trying to be an elder, you're a brother in the congregation. You want to belong. You want to be in harmony with all of the elders, right? They talk about that a lot, being in harmony, being in unity. This is all conforming, right? So differentiating. Number 3, self-esteem. Self-esteem, security, recognition, positive self-image, self-esteem, confidence. Arrogance, pride, conceit, superiority, discrimination. Now, in the Jehovah's Witness world, you can never mature properly. When you get out of the Jehovah's Witness religion, we're stunted. You see, now we can rapidly climb. You can rapidly climb, but we're stunted because we can't get over the differentiating, the self-esteem. We can't leave, the security. You can't leave and go to another church and still meet Joe on the street. Hey, Joe, let's go for coffee. Oh yeah. What are you doing at the JW? Or we're doing this and that. Yeah, there's 1,000 of us going to Vegas. Did you know that? 1,000 of us. We're all going down to Vegas, multiple languages. We're going to be down there for the Super Bowl or whatever is down there, the big cup. Yeah, 1,000 witnesses. What are you guys doing? What the Mormons doing? Oh, we're planting trees. We're going to be planting some trees this year. Oh, okay. You see, we should be able to do that. You should be able to intermix, and there shouldn't be any shunning. You see, you can't progress. Mormons can do that. They'll do that with Mormons that leave, differentiating. You can't move beyond self. You're stunted. We are stunted. And that's why they say Jehovah's Witnesses end up getting brain damage, because to stay in this position, cognitive dissonance is really kicking in. You can't criticize anything. You can't say that elder's just not doing the program properly. I don't know. You can't criticize anything. You can't criticize the governing body. You can't stand back and say, those guys are not inspired. Are you kidding me? If you said that in the congregation, you'd probably get shunned. They'd probably pull you aside. 2 elders would pull you aside and say, oh, don't do that. They're the faithful slave. Oh, like everyone, faithful slave, you're going to get zapped with lightning. People think that. You think when you leave this religion, you're going to get zapped with lightning. You know what's going to happen? Whatever you focus on, if you focus on, oh, are they going to see me? Am I going to see you're going to see JWs down every street. And it's going to bug you, but you're focusing on it in your mind. As soon as you can get beyond that and focus on some new things, set some new goals. And it could be anything. But you set new goals, you start focusing on other things, and you won't see these other things. They won't show up because you're going to attract other things. This won't be attracted to you. It won't even be in your world. You won't run into them. I have not ran into a JW forever. Now, when I first left, I was like this. And I was always running into them. And then I was always seeing their cart in the street. So I'd pull up and I would go and argue with them. And then they'd pack up and leave. And I was just trying to get answers. I was saying, well, tell me this, tell me that. You're an elder, you're whatever. They pack up and leave. They wouldn't talk to me. But I was always seeing them. And soon as I'd see them in the grocery store, and it seemed like, why do I always meet up with a JW in the grocery store? You see, it's because that's what we're thinking about. It's nothing to do with God sending you messages. Nothing. It's far above that. Whatever we think about in this brain of ours, we're like magnets. We will attract to it. And that's just how everything's built. So let's carry on. Number 4, individuating transformation. Freedom, autonomy, accountability, adaptability, courage, and personal growth. That's where we all start. That's what we all start doing when we leave the Jehovah's Witness religion. We start growing. We have freedom, autonomy. We're now ourselves. We can say what we want. We're not afraid of those 9 men at the governing body. They're just men. They breathe the same as you and me. They bleed the same. Everything else, we all work the same. Except King Jong-bong. No, what's that? Kim Jong-young? Korea? He doesn't even use the washroom. He's different. But that's a side joke. It's a poor one. Okay, the next one is self-actualizing, internal cohesion. Honesty, trust, creativity, integrity, authenticity, meaning, and internal alignment. That all happens. You see, there's nothing negative. Negative goes away. The negative side disappears. Once you get out of that religion, it's transformation. There's nothing negative. There's nothing on the negative side. It's all down here. We're staying down below here with the JW mindset, differentiating, conforming, all of those things. You move beyond that, you're transforming, then you're self-actualizing. You have internal cohesion. It sounds like a big word. He uses it. I'm going to use it. Honesty, trust, creativity. I found a lot of creativity. All this poetry came out of me. I didn't know where it was. It was all bottled up in that religion. And once I got out, not when I left, but when I freed my mind. And remember, I had to write that book. I freed my mind writing that book. And it's writing a journal, writing a timeline of your whole history. And if you do any XJW recovery, that's part of it. You got to write a timeline. It's part of healing. Write the timeline. Anyways, it's up to you, but it's going to make a difference in integrating and making a difference. You see, that's why I said making a difference. 6, it makes a difference. So you make a difference. Collaboration, you find out that you start to collaborate with other ex-JWs. You get involved in the community. We start listening to people. We form empathy, intuition. We start mentoring. We start partnering, and we make alliances. Again, on the right side, there's nothing negative. Nothing's going to negative ever happen again. You leave the religion, nothing negative happens. It's all negative down here. You're in the religion. There's arrogance, pride, conceit, superiority, and discrimination. You get out of it, the negative stuff goes away. Number 6, we make a difference. Number 7 is where we all want to be. But we naturally go there, folks. It's just we naturally go there and we focus on this. And it's like being in we talked about this, my wife and I were talking about it. It's like getting off the cruise ship, right? We talked about being on a river together, and we get off the JW cruise ship and we're on this little raft. All of us ex-JWs, just a little raft. That's a huge cruise ship. But the problem with the cruise ship, once you get on, you can never leave. That's Hotel California. It's that cruise ship. We talked about that Hotel California in our I talk about that. I'll be talking about that tomorrow in our group therapy, and we're in that section. I shared that with Forget You Watchtower. You seen that big thumbnail? F stands for forget, U stands for you, Watchtower. That's part of self-therapy, is forgetting about Watchtower. Forget you, Watchtower. That's what that is really about. So that's part of our therapy. It's part of our self-discovery, and it's part of hitting number 7. We naturally hit this. It's compassion, forgiveness, humility. Now, here's what we do is we contribute our contribution to the future generation. So if you're an apostate, or if you left a car manufacturer, let's say you're an engineer in a car manufacturer, and there's something really wrong, something wrong with that car. A lot of people are going to die. And you know it. You brought it up. Finally, you quit. You get outside and you write a book on it about the problems. And the company's hiding it. They sunk millions of dollars into this vehicle. They can't change it. You see, Jehovah's Witnesses, this religion, they've got billions of dollars sunk into these Jesus centers, all of these things they're doing. If they say that we were wrong on the blood transfusions and that we were wrong on shunning, if they change that, I think they're going to open themselves up to lawsuits. But that's why they're saying that we can't be held responsible. We're not inspired. But then this has to tell you as the audience that this is just another car manufacturer that has some issues. And they didn't listen to their engineers, and now they have a real wreck. They have a real problem. So what's going to happen? There's lots of people, casualties that come out of this religion, lots of car wrecks. So we need to have compassion, forgiveness. We need to be humble, And then our contribution, we give a contribution out, and it's to help future generations. So if we can help this religion to quit shunning, to quit this blood, because we're a voice in the outside, this is going to help future generations. And that's serving. That's number 7. Levels of consciousness. Really interesting stuff. So that's about all I have on that. Now, how are we doing? How are we doing there? Wally, want to come online? I'll throw out a code for you. You want to tell us how you're inspired? I see Wally's there. What do you think? My wife will throw a code on there. Pardon me? Yeah, I'll throw the song on. Do we have time? Anybody want to come online and tell us how you're inspired as a creator? Anybody out there watching? We'll throw a link on. Just come on to my backstage if you want to come on and give your story. But I think we're all inspired. I wake up at 3 a.m. and I wonder what's going on. You have these ideas. Why? Could be because we love people. We have family in there. We have empathy. Or is there a God up there inspiring us? Is there a Holy Spirit? Is there something out there that is helping us? A helping hand. That's what they call the Holy Spirit. It's a helper. The Holy Spirit is a helper. And I know I've had chats with different ones all the way through my life. I used to go out and service alone a lot. And I never ever felt alone. I felt like I'd always had the Holy Spirit there helping me. And I had some really interesting stuff that's happened. So that's why I'm saying, if you're a Jehovah's Witness, you're out there, you're helping lots of people, you can't call that a bad thing. There's nothing in life that's bad. It's stages in our life. But as a Jehovah's Witness, in our emotional, as we demonstrated on that last slide, we're only going to develop our consciousness to a certain level. So if we really want to push beyond, the religion holds us back. Very simple. The religion holds us all back. Now, my good wife is on. Did she want to come on? Oh, she was just getting a link. Now, I do want to, here's my next thing I'm going to share while we're waiting here. This. 1,000 Jehovah's Witnesses reach out to the Super Bowl fans in Las Vegas. There's a good one to run a video. I might put that out as a separate video. It's kind of an interesting thought. Why are they doing this? I think it's the PR department, the public relations department of Jehovah's Witnesses, reaching out to all these big events. Now, there's a big group, right? And Jehovah's Witnesses are volunteers. Now, they're not out there volunteering, helping the homeless or any of that. And I was reading this article. The city's actually going through and cleaning up all the homeless. That's what they're saying, cleaning them up, getting them out of the way or doing something, right? And I want to actually talk about this. Like, why the hell are the religions not going in there and helping the homeless and doing some humanitarian need? No, they're just setting carts up on the side, pumping out literature. It's a business, folks. This is a literature production, and they're handing business cards out that take you to their website. They want to get people's minds, their mind control. This is a mind control cult. And that's why I want to do a separate video on this. We have, as apostates, that's what we do. We're inspired. We are inspired every day to look at this stuff, and all of a sudden, I jump up and I make a thumbnail. It's the very first thing I do is make the thumbnail when I'm inspired. And I jump up and I ask my wife, we're talking I said, I got to stop, just hold on. And I get up and I make my thumbnail. I'm inspired. Something in that conversation inspired me. And if you have a partner or someone to share with as a creator, it's a world of a difference. And if you can get another perspective, someone that's not an XJW, huge difference. It pulls you into the other side. And you see, in life, we as individuals only see 3 sides. How do I know that? Throw a pair of dice down. You can only see 3 sides of the dice at any given time. If you want to see the other side, you have to have someone sitting on the other side of the table. They'll tell you what the numbers are, but you can only see 3 sides. And that's how it is in life. We're 3-dimensional. We see 3 sides. If you get a partner that sits opposite to you, you can see the other sides of life. Whatever you're looking at, you're going to see from a different angle. You see through that person. So then the 2 of you become very powerful because that person also sees another side through you. So the two of you see a lot better. You have eyesight all around if you work together. And that's why with a partner, you can see all 7 sides of life. And the 7th side, and I wrote a book on this, I haven't released it yet, but the 7th side is the inside. And between the two of you, you can see the inside of something. It's quite interesting. Not physically, but you can see spiritually, you can see emotionally, you can see a lot. We'll talk about that. That's another discussion. I wanted to move on, and Watch Me Tower is on, right? I was going to feature Watch Me Tower. No? Okay. Well, I would recommend that you go see Watch Me Tower. He's done a really neat video. And it's, what was it, hun? What was Watch Me Tower's video called? Yeah, can I look at it online? We can. Is it okay with Watch Me Tower if we played this? Did he say that? Okay. Well, if you don't know who Watch Me Tower is, check them out, subscribe to them. They got 42 videos. They cover lots of different subjects. They cover the Watchtower. And we use a lot of their stuff. Now, what I liked about this video, why you can tell Watch Me Tower is really on cue. He's an apostate like us. We're all online here. We're all working together. And he's watching the Watchtower. Watchtower came out with this brand new song, Run to Jehovah. I'm not going to play it. I already played it last week or on Monday. If you want to check it out, you can go to the Monday Live. And it's catchy. Watchtower, they have a whole writing crew. They're coming up with all these catchy tunes. So what I see Watch Me Tower is doing is coming up with a catchy tune that is catchier, but it's more correct. It's Jesus. Jesus is a friend of mine. What? Okay, here it is. I thought it was a good tune.
Terrific, Sal. Thank you very much. Beautiful, beautiful. Well.
Oh, well, thank you for that. Watching. Oh, Mormons. You see? It's just a different vehicle, folks. If you take the Jehovah's Witness train, it's Run to Jehovah, right? The Mormons, a lot of the religions talk about Jesus more than the Jehovah's Witnesses. The Jehovah's Witnesses, I noticed recently, are trying to squeeze Jesus back into the religion. They're trying to be Christian, but I think it's too far gone. I think they've been down that rut too far. They have they've really strayed, I think, from the real scriptures. That's just my thoughts. But anyways, folks, that brings an end to our program for today. And we are going to leave with a whistle. Or are we? Or are we finished with the Jesus show? Did we finish with the whistle? No. We'll do a whistle. Yeah. Okay. We'll see you later.